Good evening. I would like to start, I would like to call the September 3rd, 2024 Planning Commission meeting to order. Please note, this meeting is being hosted through live stream on the city website and by teleconference via Zoom. I would like to remind the planning commissioners to have their microphones turned on and positioned so that the audience can hear. Director Monique, may we have roll call, please?
Commissioner Clark,
Present.
Commissioner Hill,
Here.
Vice Chair Pap. He is running a few
En
minutes
route.
behind.
He's en route as
En
we
route.
speak.
He's en route. Chair Beamsterfer,
Here. And with that, we'll go ahead and start invocation flag salutes. Start with flag salutes first. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Father God, I thank you for bringing us here today. I pray for good health for all of us, Lord. I pray for our country. I pray for our state, and I pray for our city. Please guide us in our decision-making tonight. And in your name we pray. Amen. Okay, moving on to agenda item number 4 is a public comment period for items not on the agenda. Are there any members of the public present that would like to comment on an item not on the agenda? How about any any members of the public joining via teleconference or Zoom that would like to comment?
Chair Beamsterfer, I do not show anyone online requesting to speak, and I did not receive any e-comments.
Thank you very much. Agenda item 5A is the approval minutes of the meeting from August 20th, 2024. Does the commission have any comments or corrections?
No comments, no corrections. I'd like to make a recommendation to approve the minutes of the Planning Commission meeting of August 2024.
Seconded.
And that passes. At this time, we're going to go ahead and do a 5-minute recess so we can wait for Vice Chair Pap to come in so we can go ahead and vote on the next minutes. Thank you.
All right. And we are back from our 5-minute recess and for the all right. We're back from our 5-minute recess and Vice Chair is present for the meeting. We're gonna go ahead and move on to item 6A, Pacific Plan Amendment 24-001 with the Downtown Pacific Plan SP 16-001. Assistant Planner Jordan Walton.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. Tonight for your consideration is specific plan amendment 24-001. The property owner and applicant is Steve Cohen, the owner of FM Lock and Safe. This project is an applicant-initiated amendment to the Downtown Pacific Plan to allow assembly of small electronics, furniture, equipment, and similar materials with no outdoor storage when the building has been previously constructed for such use in the transit-oriented development as an approved use subject to an administrative use permit. The subject property is in the process of being sold by the current property owner. The interested prospective buyers desire a lighter industrial use for the property. In 2000, the property was rezoned to C2 commercial. In 2011, FM Lock was established, providing for lock and safe sales and services. In 2017, the Downtown Pacific Plan was adopted and changed the zoning of the property to transit-oriented development. Manufacturing or industrial type uses are no longer allowed or permitted in the downtown. Under the previous C2 zone in which the property was zoned for 16 years, it would permit assembly type use. It would permit assembly and fabrication uses via an administrative use permit. The use would have been permitted by right when the property was zoned commercial manufacturing for over 30 years. Here is an area map of the Downtown Pacific Plan. The Downtown Pacific Plan is bounded by Oakland Street to the north, Santa Fe Street to the east, Acacia Avenue to the south, and Gilbert Street to the west. And then here is an area map of the transit-oriented district. And then here outlined, if that will work. Here outlined in the blue is the interested buyer, where the property is, where the buyer is interested to relocate to. Here's a general plan land use map. The transit-oriented district is designated mixed use. This is the proposed text amendments to the specific plan. It would amend the specific plan to allow assembly of electronics and small equipment. A previously adopted mitigated negative declaration and mitigation monitoring program by resolution number 4742 for specific plan amendment 16-001. It has been determined that specific plan amendment 24-001 is in conformance with the analysis and findings for the previous final environmental impact report. It is respectfully recommended that the Planning Commission resolution recommend approval to the City Council of specific plan amendment 24-001 to the Downtown Pacific Plan. And that concludes my presentation. I'm available to take any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Walton. Does the commission have any questions for staff?
Yeah, a couple questions, I guess. Jordan, thank you for that. I really have no issue with this, but I did want to know, do you or Monique have any update on the transit-oriented development plan with bringing the rail into downtown? Do we have any update on that?
The recent, turn of events, would be the approval of the mobility hub concept, the affordable housing development, and the street configuration plans that were part of the transit orient development zone. The MetroLink line that runs through for the future of transit it's a long-range project, but it is owned
Yeah.
by MetroLink. In terms of the timeline, I don't have a timeline of when the actual train MetroLink transit would actually come to fruition. However, more recently, we applied for grant funding for the affordable sustainable community strategy, and we were awarded the grant funding to pursue the development of the RTA Mobility Hub, which is located in that transit corridor.
Okay. So when's the last time we contacted them to find out where
We-
they're at?
Well, we are, as part of that full grant program, we have also coordinated a lease agreement with RCTC, Riverside County Transportation,
Yeah,
that owns the rail line. They they have coordinated with us, so there is the plan is a long-range plan, but currently they are allowing us to utilize the transit corridor rail line for multimodal pedestrian bike path link in the interim for a period of time. So it is, it's envisioned that the actual transit line may not come in for another, 10 to 15 years.
that's what they're saying, 10 to 15 years?
Well, the lease agreement or the agreement with RCTC is approximately, I believe it's approximately, in if I'm incorrectly stating this, it's approximately 20 years for the agreement to allow us to, in the interim, utilize the transit on the outside of the rails area for bike path and pedestrian pathway. And that was part of this grant proposal. It was a part of the workshop that was we had facilitated with the city stakeholders
Yeah,
a couple months ago. And that was part of that project.
okay. Wow. All right. Well, thank you, Jordan. That's all I have. I yield.
Put your microphone on.
Did you catch that?
Yeah.
Can you please repeat
So
that again for the?
if you'd like me to respond,
Yes.
so it was so originally the building was constructed in 1966.
Huh?
When for the Churchill Transportation Moving Storage Agent for United Van Lines.
And do you know at that time what the population Hemet was?
Oh, I do not have that information.
Because I would like to know what is the nature of the business that wants to come into that building?
Yes, that's a good question. So the applicant that is currently, or there's actually been several prospective buyers. The current owner and the applicant, I believe, is here
Mhm.
this evening. They can perhaps provide context to the history of the property. But they are selling their property now, and they have received multiple interested buyers in light manufacturing, light assembly type uses. There one in particular, the most recent one is And they can also correct me if I'm wrong. It's an assembly of small electronics. And I would have to defer to the applicant specifically on the actual company. I believe they assemble and, oh, that's right, they're a sheet metal fabricator, which would be considered a light assembly use.
So where does the electronics come into play, the sheet metal?
That would be something that the applicant or the property owner might be able to expand
Okay,
upon.
yeah, because I have some, you know, you could put a furniture in there, you could do anything you want. But if you're gonna put electronics and there's any lithium, that's a no for me.
And then it's also, it is part of why we are here this evening, and requesting, the commission's recommendation, on this text amendment is when the construction of the building was built, it was built with, it's an industrial building.
Yes, I understand,
okay,
because
yeah.
that's why I asked what the population was, because Hemet was a lot different then. And electronics back then were the new state-of-the-art stereos. We're talking about today, and lithium ion batteries, 36% of all of the batteries are in small electronics. You have the U-Haul propane dispenser. That's approximately 226 feet from the center of this proposed building. On the other side, you've got Sunbelt Rentals. That fuel source is 112 feet from the inside of that building. So we're not equipped yet to deal with what everyone else is dealing with. And if this is what that is going to do, strike the electronic out of it and leave the furniture, but nothing with the battery right now. We're not equipped.
So this, I'm going to address this, if it's okay to the commission. The purpose of the administrative use permit, it is a process that is reviewed through the city's Development Review Committee. The Development Review Committee consists of our chief building official, our building official, our fire marshal, our fire chief, the chief of police. And so they do have to require stringent review and compliance with the building codes before any use is approved within a property for compliance and then health and safety. So we do look at that when they are submitted to the city.
Yeah, but at this time, like I said, I can support a furniture, I can support anything else, but that Hemet is just not ready for it. Unless we're out in an industrial park. That's State Street, that's downtown. Light manufacturing. This isn't a warehouse like the warehouses out at Lowe's. So that's just my view. And I think it's,
I think we need to hear from the applicant.
You have a few questions. Thank you, Jordan, for the presentation. I have a few questions. First of all, can you let us know approximately how many parcels are in the transit-oriented development area that could be impacted by this proposed change?
I don't have the exact numbers, but it would be a few. We noted a couple surrounding properties that would potentially be affected, such as B&W Pipe and Supply, U-Haul Storage Facility, Smitty's Auto Paint Shop, and the Hemet Industrial Supply.
And if it's okay, I'd like to add, so the purpose of this text amendment is not necessarily going to affect all the properties in the TOD district. It's only for, on a case-by-case basis, if it was determined that the building was constructed as an industrial building and perhaps was constructed in a time where manufacturing or industrial was previously approved. It would not affect all the properties in the TOD district.
Okay, I guess the genesis of the question would be approximately how many parcels could be affected by the proposed change?
We don't have that information at this time.
In terms of parking for the site, would there be any parking impact by changing the use from this particular location or any of the other eligible parcels? By changing them to allowing for assembly of prefabricated materials, because they'll be getting deliveries then of prefabricated materials that will need to be assembled.
That is correct. So during the process of an administrative use permit, which is an entitlement process, it goes through a stringent review of a parking calculation analysis, determining what the use is and also identifying existing available parking, identifying if there is the need for the use of trucks. In this case, on this property, it has a parking area located behind block wall. So, and just looking at this one in particular, so it's on a case-by-case basis, we would evaluate whether or not parking can accommodate the proposed use.
I would just like to state, Mr. Cohen, I don't know if you recognize me or not, but I've actually used the services of your business on multiple occasions. I appreciate the work that you've done there and a lot of the improvements you've made to the building. As far as seeing your business being sold and moved away, I'm sorry to see you go. Okay, so you're not leaving town, you're just relocating.
More for applicant questions.
Yeah, I'm sorry, we shouldn't be engaging until you come up to the podium.
We'll wait, we'll give you a chance up there at the podium.
I have no other questions at this time.
Pretty much most of the questions got answered. But can you just give me from city's point of view, when they write down small equipment, small electronics, give me some list of some ideas of what is small? I know it's not a computer because that can be anywhere, but what is small equipment, electronics to, by definition?
So this is specifically straight from our zoning code. I could come back with a determination interpretation of what that means. But it's not intended to be a heavy manufacturing type facility. I would have to come back also with other businesses as an example, but in this case, this is a metal fabricator. And it would be advantageous for the applicant or the property owner to maybe clarify what type of work is transpiring. And this is something that we evaluate through the administrative use permit process. And the administrative use permit process really analyzes the actual use and ensuring that it is a light manufacturing or a light assembly type of use. But in terms of what specific, I don't, other than the existing application right now for metal fabrication.
That's a broad, small word. So I was just curious what was involved in small electronics. Because you got equipment, you got small electronics, which can be, so. Other than that, I really don't have any other questions. Everything was got pretty much answered up here. With that, we're gonna go ahead and, any other question before we open up public hearing? With that, we're gonna go ahead and open up public hearing and ask if there's anybody present that would like to approach the podium. You can just state your name and, we have some questions. Yep,
Yeah.
please.
I'm Steve from FM Lock, 410 North State. So what I'd like to do is sell the building, and anybody who's been by that building knows it's a giant concrete building, the first tilt up in town. You're not going to have a flower shop in there. You're not going to have, a little mom and pop thing in there, because that's not what it was intended for. Now, obviously, I have a lot of locks and safes and other junk in there, but I want to downsize. I want to move to San Jacinto Street, where the old Hemet Rubber Stamp was, but I need to be able to sell that building. and anybody who wants to buy the building, I also want them to feel comfortable buying it. So let's face it, when you buy a building, you can't just buy a building and hope if, you get the permits. You want to make sure that the city is, working with you. Okay. So, and I understand the lithium thing, that's a good point, but there's a lot of other businesses. I have U-Haul on one side. That's a trucking outfit. I have a rental agency that uses other type of heavy equipment and PW pipe, and it's more of an industrial area. You're probably not going to get a restaurant or a lot of things that we'd like to have in this downtown thing, wanting to open up between those two or three outfits. I don't see U-Haul moving anytime soon. And the fact that the city rents the property behind me to U-Haul, okay, for many, many years, tells me that they don't want to anytime soon want to maybe develop it. Okay, which it's going to be hard for me to sell it to anybody. Maybe to a restaurant or things that we'd like to have in there, but I'm just being realistic. But I would like to sell it and I'd like to go smooth, but I've had a fair amount of people want to buy the building, but the zoning wasn't right. Or they felt uncomfortable. But I that's why I went to the city and I said, what can we do? I mean, there's got to be some common ground somewhere that we can come up with an idea that's realistic, that I can sell the building and move to a smaller spot. I'm a little older than I was 20 years ago, and I want to, slow down. I want to have a little shop. I don't need that big shop. That's what I'd like to do, and I'd like the city to, help me, because I don't ask for a lot. I've been in the city of Hemet for about 30 years, and another almost 10 years in San Jacinto. But I never thought when I bought the building it'd be as difficult to sell it because of zoning. I thought, hey, it's a moving outfit. It used to be. In fact, I used to do work for them when it was a trucking outfit. Tons of trucks. I put up a nice wall, and trust me, I've had my problems getting things done in the past. I wanted a nice wall, something that looks nice, right? So I went to the city, and originally, it was a little bit of baloney, and I get some of it, but it's a process. But that's why I'm here. I want to do this, but there's got to be some way that we can come up with an idea. And whoever buys that building, they're going to bring more jobs into our town. I would think the city of Hemet would like that. I mean, we got tons, of other problems, homelessness and graffiti and all that other stuff. And like I said, I don't want to move from that building to a little building and somebody tears out all the electrical. I don't expect the police to solve my problems, but I'm not going to create another problem. So, like I said, I've had people who are interested in it and they seemed reasonable. But that's what it was. It was storage. That's why it's got 28-foot ceilings. It's fully sprinklered. Why? Because you're not going to have a lot of these small businesses wanting to rent something with tall ceilings and, sprinklers 28 feet up in the air, and an extra acre and a half. So if you got some questions, I'd be glad to answer them.
Do you have a buyer?
We've had 3 buyers that I'm aware of. Other people have gone to the city and they just went elsewhere. Mhm.
So it's not a sheet metal?
That was the last one. I don't know if they're still, because it takes time to get, I'm not sure.
Right, that is correct. We do not know for sure who the end user will be. We want to be business friendly with our community, and make sure that we're looking at our economic development goals also for the downtown. In looking at the sheet metal fabricator, they were the last one, which were the impetus of, taking this forward to planning commission and city council.
Just be case by case too, as you said, correct?
That is correct.
I'm fully supportive of this. I'm not killing a business. What I am killing is the thought that we would have that there. I totally support this. So please don't place me in that category. My concern is having the thought that a small electronics can come in and do their thing and we have a disaster.
I think that any company that comes in and does any small electronic manufacturing would have all the procedures and processes in place to deal with any kind of lithium battery situation. I'm sure they've got to go through a lot of certification in order to get that done. And I would trust that they have the procedures in place to dispose of anything properly. So I don't think we're here to debate that. I think we're here to give Steve what he needs in order to sell his property. And given that location, I don't see how we could, I'm not seeing anything that is a red flag to me on approving this, to tell you the truth. I mean, I'm very familiar with that area. I think if a sheet metal place came in there, I think they would fit just perfectly in that zoning area. So, Steve, I hear you. I want to work with you.
I really appreciate it.
Have any other questions for the applicant?
No questions, maybe some additional comments. I'm just curious for amongst the commissioners, if lithium battery storage is a concern, if we might level that up, so to speak, like for gaming terms, and anything related to a significant amount of lithium battery storage might require something more than the administrative use permit, maybe a conditional use permit. I'm wondering if that would
That
alleviate
would
Commissioner
totally,
Clark's concerns, and
totally.
if that's something that might be on the table. And I guess I would like to ask the applicant if he would have a concern with specifically related to lithium battery storage, requiring an additional security measure that would basically bring forth a proposal for that to the planning commission for
That would
review.
be,
I mean, it seems reasonable that if, they wanted to store that kind of stuff, that they would need the conditional use permit. But other things other than that, because that's a big exception if you think of all the different things that people do or have. But remember, on both sides of me, I have diesel vehicles, it's going in the soil. I hate to say it. It's going in the soil. It's probably been in my soil at one time or other. But all these, there's a lot of different things out there that are like manufacturing that would be much easier to sell to if they knew that, hey, we're going to work with you, and with this administrative type of thing, we can get it going through instead of just being shut down. And then, because every month that goes by, I can't move. I'm working on getting it ready, but I'm not trying to work too quick because I know it's going to take time, and I got a lot of stuff to get rid of.
Bottom line, we don't know who's coming.
no, that's
So we
fine.
just, as they said, case by case. When it comes to the table, we'll decide on it then. But I do agree that with lithium ion, maybe something should be implemented, or that's something for discussion, I think, more than anything.
And those are all good comments. I appreciate the comments. Did want to mention that electric battery storage or technology, we did an amendment to our zoning code not too long ago to allow for emerging trends. However, this particular type of use, anything with electronic battery storage technology, would have to be looked at more carefully It may not even be a permitted use that would be recommended at this time for discussion in the TOD zone. However, I hear the commission's concerns and it will be brought forward to the city council as, a use of concern that was raised by the commission of that use. But at this time, I would not recommend that battery storage be part of the proposed use or proposed uses in that particular property.
So for myself, I think the intent from Commissioner Clark's comments, we're not like a battery energy storage system facility, a BESS type facility. I think the intent was more like, what if we have somebody that's, I don't know, assembling lawnmowers and they have 100 lithium ion batteries on site? That might be a problem. I think if we're talking about retail sales of little coin batteries for watches or smaller appliances, that's different. But if we're talking fairly large amounts of lithium ion batteries being stored, with the potential fuel sources nearby, that could possibly be a problem and perhaps might need to be evaluated a little further.
Within reason,
Correct.
right? Yeah, I
So
get it.
That's all I'm asking.
If we want to go down that road, I think
Right.
we need to talk about what that threshold of significance would be. Like if we've got a display case full of watch batteries, that doesn't bother me in the
No.
slightest.
No, I agree. I have it at, true value.
Right.
Storing any batteries, I've done a lot of research in the past couple days. And just to make sure that, because it's a safety thing. And the fuel sources are real close. So yes, I agree. Case by case is fine.
Okay, but
With the
you
lithium,
guys are talking about something beyond the TOD here.
So it extends
Yeah.
and Commission, if I might state, so if we're discussing something that's more in depth on a particular use, it sounds like there's a concern with the in-depth type of use that would be planned for this. This is a text revision to the specific
Yeah.
plan that would require an administrative use permit that would analyze the proposed use to ensure that it falls within the light assembly uses permitted by the zone. I did want to mention in the commercial zones, for example, and just for, context, there are certain uses that are permitted and conditionally permitted. And perhaps what we could do is go through our zoning code to see, and, maybe do a work study on what uses are already currently permitted by right, what are conditionally permitted uses, and just explore that more in depth as a commission. In this case, I will certainly incorporate the concern that was raised about the lithium. Absolutely.
All right, and any other questions?
Nope.
Oh, okay. Thank you
Well-
very much.
I was just gonna ask you, so now that we've talked about this, you guys are gonna say we agree or don't agree with maybe opening it up to more than, small retail sales, maybe light manufacturing, as long as it doesn't include the lithium storage.
Yes, I believe the proposal on the table is to allow for those light assembly uses, and
Okay.
I don't believe anybody on the dais here has any issue with that.
No,
No, it's a up and coming issue.
Correct.
I think
And
it depends.
case by case until
Yes.
it's resolved.
It depends on the applicant. We don't know who the applicant actually is.
Yeah.
I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
So I'm gonna sit down, right?
Thank you very much. And with that, we're going to go ahead and any public comments or e-comments? Ms. Hernandez?
Chair Beamsterfer, I don't show anyone online requesting to speak, and I did not receive any e-comments.
All right, with that, we're going to go ahead and close the public hearing and entertain a motion.
I vote I make a move for the specific plan amendment for 410 State Street to change the applicant to make recommendation to the city council of specific plan amended number 24-001 to the downtown specific plan to allow assembly of small electronics, furniture, equipment, and similar materials with no outdoor storage when the building has been previously constructed for such a use in the transit-orientated development as an approved use subject to an administrative use permit.
I'll second.
And that passes. Okay, congratulations. Item 7A, City Attorney Report, City Attorney Leo Swarty.
Thank you. Nothing to report.
Nothing to report. All right, item 7B, Community Development Reports, Director Monique.
Nothing to report. Thank you.
And how about item 7C, Future Agenda Items?
Future agenda items, the list is growing longer. We have Freddy's Restaurant, High Point Apartments, drive-through restaurant, for the former Long John Silver site, Simpson Warehouse Project, a potential zoning code amendment work study for electronic billboards, work study for pro-housing designation, and JD Fields project.
Okay, thank you very much. Item 7D, Planning Commissioners Report, Director Monique.
Commissioner Clark?
I don't really have anything to report, but I do inquire about the plastics and why all these agenda items are still floating out there. What's the holdup?
We have quite a review process in the city, so they're going through the pipeline. They're at various stages of the review process. There may be environmental review that is in process. There may be engineering, civil review, plan checking to make sure that it's in compliance before that we bring forward a sound recommendation to the Planning Commission and Council.
So the plastics, how's that guy going?
Oh, the H&A Plastics, yes, they are in the process of getting their grading permits. They've been working with engineering on that.
Is he hanging on? I know he's financially, the city really.
Yeah, so we are working with that applicant right now.
Well, from me, please, tell him that I'm rooting for him.
Thank you. Thank you. Commissioner Hill?
Yes. Monique, any update on the Planning Commission joint session with City Council on the warehouse issue?
Yes, I can address that. So in analyzing and reviewing considering the meeting request, what the commission is looking at is having a discussion with the city council on a decision that's being made by the city and a recommendation that's going to be taken forward to the city council. So having a pre-meeting in advance may we may need to take forward the items first that are coming forward that we know are going to be on an agenda coming soon. So we do have, for example, we do have a warehouse development. It's a different one. It's a different application than the one that the public has been speaking on at the last couple of meetings and at council. That's not an item on the agenda. However, we do need to, the council sets policy and the Planning Commission, they provide recommendation to the Planning Commission, to the City Council, based on findings with facts that we have to look at to any project that comes forward, whether it be a warehouse development, a restaurant, a hotel. There are certain requirements of the municipal code that we have to follow. We did review this, and at this time, it's appropriate for the commission to weigh in on the project when it comes in, and provide a recommendation based on the commission's consensus.
Okay, I am thinking more strategic here rather than tactical.
I agree. I think we need to be educated. I didn't hear back from Linda Krupa yet. I know she's busy with her meetings, but I wanted to follow with her today on what the outcome was. But as Vice Chair Pap says, I know we're limited in certain warehouses. We're not gonna be able to put 20 of them in Hemet. We only have a smaller number, but still it's important, the impact on the community. And a lot of us, except for Vice Chair Pap, a lot of us are in the gray when it comes to the manufacturing and the trucking logistics and the pros and cons. And I just think it's important that as a commission, we are educated in certain areas that we don't really know how to make a decision on. And I just think it's important that this comes in before the warehouses start coming to the table, and then we're forced to vote on something we really don't know too much of, and the impact of CEQA and the long-term effects of the city that has for the infrastructure and everything else. I think it's just important that we have a workshop study with the council to kind of see eye to eye what the future is of the city, what they have in mind. Otherwise, we're going to just start denying projects if we just feel uncomfortable about it. And
Chair, if I may, essentially the premise behind it is to allow the commission to view items as they come up on the agenda. So if we have a discussion prior to an item being brought forth, it might be a little bit premature to have some sort of discussion. Because there was an opinion from the public, we just want to make sure that we give the applicant and, people the opportunity to bring forth that item and then make that discussion once it's on the table.
Okay, I think you misunderstand what I'm trying to get across here. It's too late. By that time, it's too late. Okay, I want to sit down with City Council and talk to them as a group. Where are we going as a city? What do we want it to look like? Do we want a bunch of trucks hauling around in our city? Some 40-foot trucks, 40-foot trailers all the time? We are a retirement housing community, bedroom type community. I don't see us being another Ontario with all kinds of warehouses and trucks all over the damn place. I live in this city. I don't want a bunch of trucks in this city, okay? I want to talk to City Council and voice that opinion before these applicants get a chance to get further on down the road. And then you bring it to us, and then we've got to stamp it no, because it's already halfway down the road, 50, 75% through the process. I want to strategically talk about planning. How does this fit into the general plan? How does this fit into the specific plan? Okay. What does a community look like 5, 10 years down the road if we start allowing all these warehouses to come in? This is what I want to discuss. I don't want to wait until Simpson Warehouse Project comes to the table here on an agenda, because I'm not going to be happy if that happens.
And I think also in the same vein, we don't want these people to feel like their due process has been
I'm sorry if I may, I feel like we're kind of teetering into a discussion. So I kind of want to hold off on that.
Wait till the City Council meeting.
As a citizen, you absolutely have the right to do so. However, as the commission, the commission is a recommending body to the City Council on items such as land use and zoning. A comprehensive report will be presented to the Planning Commission with a recommendation. to the commission for for consideration. And at that time, the commission has, the discretion to make recommendations, to, make a decision, to vote on whether, to recommend approval, and process the project forward onto the city council.
Understand. I just don't want my hands tied when it comes to the agenda. I have nothing further. Thank you.
Thank you. Vice Chair Papp?
Yes, couple of items. I was curious about looking over the future agenda items. Item number 5 regarding electronic billboards. Is there an area in particular or corridors in particular that we're looking at either possibly allowing them or putting a ban on them? Or what is the intent of the ordinance?
And so, more specifically, the Economic Development Strategy incorporated potential for allowing for electronic billboards in the city as a mechanism for revenue. We will be bringing a work study discussion for the commission. It will not be the actual, recommending to make the decision that night. It'll be a discussion that will be hopefully comprehensive with an analysis of potential locations, what's all included in the billboard, ordinance, what's not included, what is the current ordinance state today, because currently our code does not allow for billboards. And that is basically the premise of what will be presented to the commission in a future agenda item.
Can you elaborate at all on corridors? Like, will this be limited to state highways or any large boulevard?
I don't have that information at this time. I can take a look at our economic development strategy to see if it perhaps may have some information about potential corridors. At this time, it would be premature to discuss the potential, and we do want the commission's input on those corridors and recommended corridors.
Okay, thank you. And then I wanted to mention the Florida Avenue repaving on the west side of town, near the Auto Mall, for example, up to about Winco. There are several bus stops that have concrete aprons that extend out into the roadway. They are several inches, in some cases higher than the existing blacktop. Clearly, they're not finished with the rehabilitation on that, but I'm wondering if we can get an update as to when that rehabilitation will be completed. And in the meantime, is it possible to put any kind of warning signs out near those bus bays, alerting traffic that there are significant bumps? Yes, near the mall as well.
Is this along the Florida Avenue corridor or Florida Avenue and Sanderson?
This would be between,
From Palm to Sanderson, really.
in particular, between what I was focusing on was basically from Warren Road to Acacia Avenue. But yes, also in front of the mall.
Okay.
Notice multiple, I've drive that way frequently, and I drive a large pickup truck with big tires on it, and I can feel those concrete aprons when I hit them. If I'm driving a small passenger vehicle, you might experience some significant damage hitting those at the posted speed limits. I think at a minimum, there needs to be some traffic calming out there.
Okay, thank you. Chair Beamsdorfer?
Same thing as Vice Chair Papp. I follow social media, and there's a lot of people that are quite upset with the Florida Avenue, and people tires gotten popped, but I would like an update on that. I work right in the front there, and there's no cones, there's nothing, absolutely nothing, and it's a rough ride. So, but there's no updates, there's no sign, there's no cones, there's nothing. It just looks like they're done, but we know they're not done. So we'll update on that. And any updates on when the commission's going to announce seat 5 for planning commission?
Yes, the city council will be appointing the position at the next, city council meeting.
And I think that's pretty much. That's all I have to report. And with there being no further business to discuss, this meeting being adjourned to the next planning commission scheduled for September 17th, 2024 at 6 p.m.